Are you a family caregiver? Are you caregiving for someone who can no longer take care of themselves? Are you overwhelmed? This is Caregiver Solutions Info with Marcia Teele. Marcia will be hosting an hour of true stories and information, tips and updates of the latest research and necessary information in the caregiving field, focusing on you, the family caregiver. An Alzheimer's disease and dementia care expert, Marcia has 15 years of hands-on experience at Arden Courts, a leader in assisted living dementia communities here in the U.S. Marcia covers everything you need to know as a family caregiver, especially if you care for a loved one with Alzheimer's disease or other related dementia or chronic illness. If you have a friend or relative that is also a family caregiver, call them now. They won't want to miss a minute. And let them know they can watch on caregiversolutions.info. And they can listen on WNN 1470 AM in South Florida or nationally on the iHeartRadio app. Now, sit back, relax, and learn from our host, Marcia Teele, as she brings information to you that may just be the caregiving solution you need.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to Caregiver Solutions Info Show. I'm so glad that you could join us today, whether you're tuning in on iHeartRadio, a local Southeast Florida radio station, or watching us live video streaming on www.caregiversolutions.info. So Tuesdays are really special for me because that's the day I get to host Caregiver Solutions Info Show for the last 6 years and help caregivers and other healthcare professionals learn more about caregiving, dementia, tips and education and advice, and share all of that to make caregiving a little bit easier. But today, which is Tuesday, today is extra special because this is National Centerians Day, all right? This is people that are over 100 and older. September, which we're in, is actually the World Alzheimer's Month, the whole month, celebrating and honoring people that are suffering and have suffered with Alzheimer's disease and other related dementia. And today is also the first day of fall. So today's a big day, a lot of things going on, a lot of special occurrences happening. So we have a lot to talk about. And joining me to talk about all of this and more are two special guests from Oasis Senior Advisors. So joining online with me, I have Candy Cohn and Becky Dieter, and there they are. Hello, ladies.
Hi there. Hi.
Welcome
Thanks so much
to Caregiver. You're so welcome, and thank you for joining us today on the Caregiver Solution Info Show. Both of you are senior care advisors for seniors, and you have a lot of experience. I know both of you have been in the business a very long time, so we have a lot to talk about. So I want to get started right away and talk about the fact that today is the first day of fall, but also, being that it's the first day of fall, fall reminds us about seniors falling. I know it's a little pun on words, but it is very, very important to talk about this because a lot of ramifications happen when elderly people, seniors, usually over the age of 65, fall. So, Becky, why don't you start us off with telling us how prevalent falling is in older Americans?
Well, I think to start with, just the fact that the National Council on Aging has designated the first day of fall today, as you said, as National Fall Awareness Prevention Day. And that's because 1 in 4 Americans age 65 and up fall each year. So 25%. Every 11 seconds, an older adult is treated in the emergency room for a fall. And every 19 minutes, an older adult dies from a fall. So this is a real serious problem. Falls are the leading cause of fatal injury and the most common cause of non-fatal injuries in senior adults.
And that's a big deal.
Absolutely. And in addition to the injuries that can cause people lose their confidence and after a fall and stop going out, and then we have the social isolation and some of the problems that come with that too.
Right. And they say sometimes that a fall is the beginning of the end for an older person, and I've actually experienced that with an elderly aunt, that she had a fall and fractured her hip, and then of course had to go to rehab and try to get better. But once she fell, it was really, really difficult for her to get up and move anymore. And then being, in a position where she just had to sit most of the time, then she had complications from all of that and not moving. So, fall prevention is very, very important. I think it's great that we want to be aware of that and to help not only ourselves, but to help people that we know that are older and getting older, and watch out for them. So that being said, what are some of the ways that people can stay safe and prevent falls? Because I think the key is just preventing them in the first place. So how can people prevent falls?
Well, one of the things that we've found through research and things is balance and strength. So keeping core strength and working on balance. When I work with folks that I hear they're a fall risk, I see, are they exercising? Have they looked into yoga, Tai Chi? There's even chair yoga. There's balance programs, fall prevention classes people can take. So that balance and strength is key. And as a matter of fact, my mother took a fall in the shower when she was 79, 80 years old and fractured her back. And it was actually the day of my dad's funeral. And she got herself up, got through the funeral, tough lady, but then she lost her confidence, and you could see it. She was very tentative walking, would hold on to somebody when she went up and down curbs. But she moved into an independent living community that had a chair yoga program and worked on balance and core, and it's made such a difference. I'm happy to say at 85, she's now taking walks every day. So it does work. Another thing to look at is hearing and vision. So a lot of seniors may be utilizing glasses that don't have an up-to-date prescription, or maybe aren't wearing glasses because they don't want to wear them and they really need them, or bifocals that they are not adjusted to, or even I've heard stories about folks with the lenses that will darken or lighten when they go in and out of rooms. Sometimes there's a little period of adjustment that can cause a problem. So we need to be looking at that. Medications. Many medications have a side effect of making people dizzy, or especially when they're first going on the medications. So we need to be monitoring, especially when our loved one is taking a medication for the first time, if there's some of that going on. One of the big areas is the environment, the home. And if you can go online and find a lot of checklists, CDC has a good one, AARP, things to look for in the home to try and prevent falls. A biggie is area rugs. We love area rugs, and they look really nice and they're warm on our feet, but my father-in-law had one right outside his bed that didn't have rubber on the bottom, and he got out of bed. So moving area rugs, making sure they're grab bars in bathrooms, laundry. Bending over and doing laundry sometimes. People can get dizzy and cause a fall. Wearing the right shoes seems pretty simple, but sometimes those comfy slippers can get stuck and cause people to fall. And walking the dog. Sometimes that can be dangerous for folks. A dog that pulls. I know a senior that the dog kept pulling them down, or the leash becomes wrapped around. Sometimes that's a little too much. Cords and wires in the house. A lot of things like that can be done that can help with a lot of these falls. And again, there's checklists out there. There's also organizations and home health companies that'll come out and do kind of a safety home health check for folks. So that's important.
Yeah, very, very good. And also, if someone has an underlying health condition like arthritis or diabetes, how does that contribute to the risk of falling?
Well, it can add to that weakness. And also that confidence. Somebody with arthritis or an underlying condition may not have a lot of confidence because they have some weakness. And so when there are those types of conditions and weakening, that can cause those types of falls too.
My mom had some neuropathy in her feet, and she couldn't feel the floor really. So it was very difficult for her to walk because of the neuropathy. And that can be caused by diabetes. And it can be caused by sometimes cancer treatments can cause that. So people I don't think always realize what they're doing and what they're going through can actually create a bigger risk for falling. And I wanted to say something too, Becky, that you mentioned about facilities. And people that your mom went into one, but when someone goes into either independent living, assisted living, or memory care living, sometimes the families aren't really aware of the shoes. You brought up the shoes, and I've seen people move in with super high heels, like fashion heels, and they want to still be the queen of fashion, and they're walking around in these shoes that are not appropriate, and families need to be aware of that. And yes, it's hard to take away what us gals always like to wear, our heels, but it's really more prudent and safer for to get a good sneaker or something, a sandal with some straps or something like that. So that is really, really important. So all of these things can contribute to preventing the fall, which is very, very important. Thank you for that. Candy, did you have anything you wanted to add to that?
Well, I just want to mention that, certain devices, of course, are important for seniors who are fall risk to use. Walkers, canes, not so much. I mean, that really is not going to help so much if they are going to fall. People tend to feel more comfortable, I'll use a cane, because they don't want to go the full-blown walker route. But when we do have the opportunity to move people to a senior living community, usually they're more comfortable using a walker because everyone else is using a walker. And then I recently read about more of a holistic approach, a woman that doesn't really like walkers because people get hunched over, and she uses trekking poles. And I love that. I think that's what I'll do when I get older.
Especially if you like to ski in your younger years, right? You just kind of get back into that. Those are all right. Those are all really, really, really good ideas and comments. So thank you for that. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to talk more about what it means to have Alzheimer's and some new things that have just come to light with Alzheimer's disease that you don't want to miss. So stay with us. We'll be right back.
Arden Courts is not just a place to live, it's a place to call home. Residential living combined with quality caregiving. This is the philosophy behind Arden Courts. Communities created exclusively for individuals with Alzheimer's disease and related dementia who would benefit from a safe and structured environment. For additional information about any of the unique services Arden Courts provides, call 888-478-2410 to locate a community nearest you. Inquire about our educational seminars, resource library, or support groups, or simply feel free to ask questions you may have about Alzheimer's and related dementias. At Arden Courts, we know, we understand, and we can help because memory care is all we do. Remember, call 888-478-2410 2410 for additional information about any of the unique services Arden Courts provides. You are listening to your host, Marcia Teele, an Alzheimer's disease and dementia care expert on CareGiverSolutions.info. If you have a question or wish to share a story, call into the show.
Every single week and things related to Alzheimer's and other dementia. But the fact that they've named a whole month for World Alzheimer's, it really speaks to the fact that this is bigger than what we realize. And just to give people some of the latest statistics, which is from 2019, just last year, from the Alzheimer's Association, says that there are approximately 5.8 million people that are living with Alzheimer's disease in the United States. And by the year 2050, that number is expected to rise to 14 million. And that's just in the United States. So if you can imagine the whole world, and Alzheimer's disease doesn't confine itself to the United States. Everyone can be affected. There's no rhyme or reason sometimes for why people get it, because they haven't really found the cause, or they suspect, but we're going to talk more about that in just a moment. But it is so much bigger than what people realize, because we're talking about the world, right? And there was recently a world convention through the Alzheimer's Association, an international conference for 2020. And I wanted to let Candy speak to this, because there were some very interesting things that came out of that conference. Candy, what can you share about that?
Sure, I'd be happy to share about that. And the conference just occurred in July, and one of the most significant breakthroughs was a blood test that can possibly detect changes in the brain 20 years before symptoms of dementia occur. And that's huge. It's right now, the ways to detect it are through a PET scan and through a spinal fluid test. And those are, difficult to obtain, and they're invasive. Not everybody has availability or desire to even do that. So this is going to be really big. There's been a lot of research. They're still researching it, but there was, a lot of positive studies came out. And it will be testing for abnormal versions of the tau protein, which is one of the proteins known to affect and cause Alzheimer's.
So this is going to be something that they're going to be testing more, but through their research, they have a good idea that this is going to be telling us a lot sooner when someone has sooner than when someone has symptoms, because sometimes it takes years and years and years, 10 years or more before someone actually exhibits symptoms for Alzheimer's disease or related dementia. And this is a test that can really change the game on that, right?
Right.
I just want to say that, Candy, on the screen, they have the wrong name for your company. I apologize for that. If the producer will be kind enough, it's Oasis Senior Advisors that Becky and Candy are from as special guests today. And so we're so happy that Oasis Senior Advisors are here to talk about all of this. So I did read a little bit about the international conference, and it was amazing to me that they had of course, they had to do a lot of virtual things because of the pandemic, but they had over 33,000 registrants, virtual registrants, just to join in on this conference. They had over 3,000 presentations, and it was amazing to see also that there were over 160 countries participating in this. So again, it's huge, and the numbers are huge. And a cure to end this would be such a wonderful thing for the world. Hence, World Alzheimer's Month, we put a lot more attention to it to promote awareness and health and research. So it is something that I hope comes sooner than later. I know we're looking right now for that cure for the COVID-19, and so once we get through that, let's hope that maybe the Alzheimer's cure will be next. I mean, we can only hope, right?
Right.
But you work a lot with families that are dealing with dementia in their family and helping seniors. What is some of your challenges when it comes to helping families that are dealing with a diagnosis of Alzheimer's disease? What do they come to you about? What are some of their most pressing issues or worries? Can you talk a little bit about that?
Sure. Sometimes children will be haven't seen their parents in a while, and they come to visit, and all of a sudden they realize something's wrong. My parents' memory, and nowadays they can't come visit so easily, so it's even more scary for them just detecting this on a phone call or a video call. So they might start to realize, my mom doesn't remember that I called yesterday, and what should I do? And she's living alone. So they might start to get a caregiver to come to the house. Oftentimes, if it's a couple, those one spouse is caring for the other spouse and thinks they can do it by themselves, and then they start to get overwhelmed and they just don't know what to do. So it's really important for people to turn to professionals and to understand that they're not trained to work with someone with dementia. As much as they love their loved ones, there are special techniques that people who are in the field and are trained as dementia care specialists know how to do. It takes a long time of practicing this. So it's important to either have someone come to the home or to have the person with dementia go maybe to a day program, although right now that's a little bit of a struggle with COVID, or move to a memory care community. And oftentimes when people work with us, they are not sure, is mom or dad going to need memory care, or can they go to assisted living? And oftentimes, if it's early enough, they can move to a regular assisted living community. But I always take them to a place that has memory care on site, because I want them to be able to age in place in that community. And they might need to go into memory care eventually. If they have full-blown Alzheimer's, dementia, I would take them to a memory care community like the one that you are so closely affiliated with, and get the care that they need, and make sure they're not going to elope. If they're an elopement risk, they might be wandering off. That's a huge, huge concern. We see those silver alerts on the highway all the time. I mean, it happens every day. And they have the best intention, the person with Alzheimer's. They're probably looking for something, or they think they're going to work, or they can't, they just think they have to be somewhere right now. So those are concerns. Managing their medication is really important. I talked to a client today who is just not sure if her mother's doctor is managing the medications properly. So in those cases, you might want to get a second opinion. That's really, really important.
Wow, those are great points. Becky, would you like to add something to all of this about helping families and what they're dealing with, and some of their concerns and worries?
Well, I think Candy said it earlier too, that the families, and particularly a spouse, whoever the caregiver is, we also need to be sure that they're taking care of themselves. And so we will coach them through that. Also, what I like to do, if people, it's a fairly new diagnosis, or they don't seem real familiar with it, is connect them with educational resources. Alzheimer's Association has classes. Right now, a lot of it's virtual, but I looked the other day and they're still doing the brain bus, but it's virtual. And so there'll be classes on, what are the signs of dementia? How do you communicate with somebody with dementia? And that's important because information is power, and so many times families feel powerless. So it's important to ask for help and utilize the resources that are out there to help with that information and feel a little more empowered.
Wonderful. And both of you are senior advisors, and you all have access to the resources, and where support group meetings are and how to direct people to get that information and education they need. So you all are very good at digging up what someone needs to help them through whatever situation they're going through. And that is really invaluable because sometimes caregivers get so overwhelmed that they don't even know where to start, right? And I think that's one of the, you've seen that, right? That they just don't know where to start. And as a memory care advisor myself and a senior advisor through your company that you all do, we can be more objective, with the situation and try to take some of that emotion away. Not that we're not empathetic or sympathetic, because certainly we are, but you want somebody who's a professional who can guide you, because the road, leading down to the caregiving path is full of turns and twists and bumps and rocks and ditches, and it's not always just a walk down memory lane, so to speak, and so that's important. So I appreciate what you all do. We're going to take a break, and when we come back, we're going to talk more about Alzheimer's, and Candy's going to share her personal story. So we'll be right back. Stay tuned.
Arden Courts is not just a place to live, it's a place to call home. Residential living combined with quality caregiving. This is the philosophy behind Arden Courts. Communities created exclusively for individuals with Alzheimer's disease and related dementia who would benefit from a safe and structured environment. For additional information about any of the unique services Arden Courts provides, call 888-478-2410 to locate a community nearest you. Inquire about our educational seminars, resource library, or support groups, or simply feel free to ask questions you may have about Alzheimer's and related dementias. At Arden Courts, we know, we understand, and we can help because memory care is all we do. Remember, call 888-478-2410 for additional information about any of the unique services Arden Courts provides. You are listening to your host, Marcia Teele, an Alzheimer's disease and dementia care expert on CareGiverSolutions.info. If you have a question or wish to share a story, call into the show at 888-565-1470 and talk with Marcia. Now, back to Caregiver Solutions.
Welcome back. At this time, I'd like to thank our national sponsor, Arden Courts Memory Care Communities. Arden Courts is a leader when it comes to memory care and helping families when it comes to dementia, Alzheimer's, other topics related to dementia. They just do memory care. That's all they do. So that is their prime focus, memory care assisted living across the United States. They are a great resource also for family caregivers, and as such, they'd like to provide you with this free book. It's called The 36-Hour Day. It's a wonderful resource for family caregivers. It has lots of explanations, definitions, tips, everything that you might need to know about Alzheimer's as you go along your journey of being a caregiver. The book is absolutely free just because you've tuned in or watched the show. If you don't have this book and you'd like to get it, all you have to do is email Arden Courts and ask. When you email them, give them your name, address, and telephone number. Tell them that you saw the offer for the free 36-hour day book on the Caregiver Solutions info show, and they'll be glad to mail it right to you. That email address is delray@arden-courts.com. Again, the email address to get the free book is delray@arden-courts.com. So email them today. Let them know that you'd love to get this book. I highly recommend it. It will be a great resource, and you might want to share it too with some of your family that maybe need to know a little bit more about what you're going through. So my special guests today are from OASIS Senior Advisors, and with me is Becky Dieter and Candy Cohn, and they are both senior advisors helping seniors through those difficult decisions when life changes and they need more help. So Candy, I know that you had shared with me earlier that you are a family caregiver. You have a family member diagnosed with dementia. Can you share your story briefly with us about who it is and how hard it was to deal with?
Sure. It's my mom, and she is 97 years old, or young, 97 years young. She was diagnosed with dementia probably about 3 years ago. And, her sisters had full-blown Alzheimer's. They also lived a long life. And I figured she was already around 93, 94, that her memory was getting a little bad, but I thought that was probably about as bad as it was going to get. But it did start to get worse. And at this point, I would say she has what we would call moderate cognitive impairment, but maybe even a little more severe. She is living in assisted living in a small residential care home. She was at a larger place for years and with my dad, and she did not need any care at first. He did. And gradually over time, she started to need some care and various things were happening. And then her memory started really going. So I knew she needed to move to a smaller place. It was too much of a struggle for her to sit in the big dining room and be with other people having conversations. Her hearing isn't great. So between not being able to hear them and not really understanding a lot of what the conversation was about, and then feeling paranoid. And, I know you see that a lot. People with dementia start to get paranoid, and she always thought people were talking about her. It was really sad. So now she's in a small place, only 6 residents with 2 caregivers, and she's doing great. She's safe. But it was hard for my brothers who are up north to understand how bad her memory was, because she can talk and have a conversation and you think she is okay. And then you ask her, in fact, yesterday I was able to visit her, and I said, I know you had a great video call with my brother, the brother in Philadelphia yesterday, and she looked at me with this blank stare. And I had to remind her who his children are, and that she got to see her great grandchildren in the video. And, it started to ring a bell. But the old memories from when she was little, they're just flowing. And but she'll focus on one. That's really interesting too. She tends to focus on one memory for maybe, the whole time I'm there for a visit, or sometimes a couple times in a row, although recently I haven't been able, because of COVID, I haven't been able to visit her often. But that's interesting too, to see what is up there that's coming out. And I keep waiting for some brand new memory, and it could happen. There are a couple little things that have come out that were a little different.
Oh, that's great. Well, thank you for sharing. And gosh, 97, that's amazing. How long has she been living in a family home, in a community care center?
She's been there for about 2 years. Around Thanksgiving will be, no, October, actually. October's 2 years. Yeah, 2 years. Oh my gosh, the time went by quick. And I want to mention that when she was diagnosed, I contacted a neurologist who I have a nice relationship with, because the doctor wanted to put her on some medications. And as you know, medications are, a challenge, because there is no cure. There's nothing that will reverse Alzheimer's or dementia. It could slow the progression, but it might not. And there are side effects that are possible. So it was with much thought and, getting a consultation from my neurologist associate friend, and we decided not to put her on any medication.
Well, and that's always a family decision. So, either way is good if it's the best thing for the potential, the client or the family member. And unfortunately, sometimes they don't know what to do. So you were really right in getting diagnoses and opinions, and and doing your research and your homework to find the best choice, in your family situation. But I want to back up now to the fact that your mom's been there for a couple of years, and I believe you live close enough to where she's living that you could visit. But since last March, when the state of Florida, the governor, shut down visiting in assisted livings, memory care, assisted livings, even regular and independent living, how did it affect you, and how did it affect her all those months, and how did you deal with her not being able to see you and vice versa?
It's been really hard. The last time I saw her prior to about a week ago was about March 10th. And then about 5 days later, I was on my way to go see her, and I got a call from the owner of the assisted living saying, "I'm just letting all the family members know the governor has a new non-visitation order in place, and no visitors are allowed." She might have even done it right before he announced it, because I probably wouldn't have been on my way there if he had already announced it. So I was just flabbergasted. I mean, I knew it was coming, but I just thought I could see her one more time. And it's been hard. We've been doing video calls, but she can't hear well. And that's the main thing we've done is video calls. I did do window visits twice. I went there once just because I needed to, and then on her birthday.
So it's really, really hard because she's used to seeing you in person, and now she doesn't and you can't, and I'm sure it has affected both of you. And Becky, you've probably had some clients too that you've helped move into memory care or assisted living where families are going through the same thing. What do you see from their point of view?
Well, and I think it's particularly difficult, I can say, with my own mother is out of state. And when loved ones are out of state, it's even more difficult because there are travel restrictions. My mom is in independent living, and although she can come and go, if I were to come see her right now, she would have to quarantine for 14 days. Right. So when families are out of state, it adds that extra layer of, I haven't seen my mom in quite a while, and she's not comfortable with technology. A lot of the communities have been helpful with seniors, with helping them FaceTime or Skype or Zoom or what have you with families, but my mom just isn't comfortable being on video. And so, I call her regularly, but I think for families, particularly that are out of state, it's very difficult to navigate the visitation. So we're really excited that things are opening up a bit and communities are doing it differently within the regulations, of course, but we're really happy, and families are happy that now they can visit their loved one.
Thank you. And so, Candy, that's good news for you and your mom because you're local and can visit. So this just opened up within the last week or so. The governor kind of, allowed certain types of visits. Some restrictions apply. And so every community, assisted living, they have their own rules too. So it's a complement to what the governor says, but everybody has to be at their own comfort level. So what happened when you were able, Candy, to go visit your mom for the first time? What was that experience like?
It was wonderful. I was so excited, first of all, and I waited 2 days after the governor made the announcement, lifted the ban, to contact the owner of the assisted living because I know that she would be really, she's so conscientious, and I didn't want to just jump on her right away. So I texted her 2 days later to see if I could come that weekend, and she said after you have a COVID test. So that's her choice, and I respect it. So that Monday morning, I got a COVID test, and I was able to go the following weekend. She had me wear full PPE. She had the plastic gown and gloves, shoe covers, special hand washing procedures that she guided me through. I had to sit in a certain chair, couldn't get closer to my mom, and I respect that. But it was wonderful, bottom line, it was wonderful. And I got to go again yesterday, so I've seen her twice now in the last week and a half. I'm just so thankful that, she's healthy and she made it through to now where I can see her, because my biggest concern is what if something happens and if she gets sick? If I couldn't have gone to see her, I don't know what I would have done.
Absolutely. And what about your mom? How did she react when she saw you in person after 7 months?
Oh, she was so happy. There were tears in her eyes, and she just was thrilled. But I have to say, she kept pulling the mask down, saying, "I can't breathe with this mask on."
Yeah, join the club, Mom. Yeah. Well, that's wonderful. So now you're able to visit more, and everybody has to, follow the particular rules and regulations of wherever your family or friend might be living, and everyone has a different way of doing it, but it's all for the better good. So everyone keep wearing your mask, keep washing your hands, we'll get through this, but I think things are getting a little bit better and we're able to visit our loved ones now. Yeah, so we're going to take a break, and we come back. Will be more wonderful information from Oasis Senior Advisors. We'll be back in just a moment.
Arden Courts is not just a place to live, it's a place to call home. Residential living combined with quality caregiving. This is the philosophy behind Arden Courts. Communities created exclusively for individuals with Alzheimer's disease and related dementia who would benefit from a safe and structured environment. For additional information about any of the unique services Arden Courts provides, call 888-478-2410 to locate a community nearest you. Inquire about our educational seminars, resource library, or support groups, or simply feel free to ask questions you may have about Alzheimer's and related dementias. At Arden Courts, we know, we understand, and we can help because memory care is all we do. Remember, call 888-478-2410 for additional information about any of the unique services Arden Courts provides. You are listening to your host, Marcia Teele, an Alzheimer's disease and dementia care expert on CareGiverSolutions.info. If you have a question or wish to share a story, call into the show at 888-565-1470 and talk with Marcia. Now, back to Caregiver Solutions.
Welcome back. My special guests are from Oasis Senior Advisors. We have Candy Cohn and Becky Dieter with us talking about Alzheimer's disease, talking about September being World Alzheimer's Month, how to prevent falls. You all do a lot to help seniors and their families navigate to the next stages in life. But you also volunteer. And of course, we love our volunteers, and you both volunteer through the Alzheimer's Association. I know that for a fact. And we have a walk coming up down here in South Florida. We tend to do it in the fall because it's cooler, and other places up north we do it sometimes in the summer or the spring. But Becky, tell me a little bit about how you volunteer and a little bit about the walk that you're involved in.
Great. So the walk this year, the Boca Walk, is going to be November 8th. It's a little different this year due to COVID. There isn't going to be one location for the walk like there normally would be. But it's nice because people can do it anywhere. So you can do it inside your house. You can do it on your treadmill. You can do it, pick a path that you want to walk. So it can still be fun and as well as achieve the purpose of fundraising for Alzheimer's Association. And so part of what we've been doing is trying to recruit people to form teams and fundraise through their team, join teams, and we've been focusing on trying to get folks involved in doing the walk and fundraising.
So Candy, it's different because, I've been with you at different walks through the years. We had the big one in West Palm Beach County, then the southern one in Boca, and now it's different. So how are you promoting it, and how are you getting people enthusiastic about this, because I know they want to keep up the momentum. So how is it for you?
Well, the committee's doing a great job, and they're doing a pep rally this Thursday night. Should be a lot of fun. This is a new thing. It's online, 6 o'clock, and they are requesting RSVPs, but you can just show up. It'll be on Zoom. I think if you go on the Alzheimer's Association website, or if you Google the Boca Walk to End Alzheimer's, you'll be able to see that, or you could contact us. So it's going to be kind of like a rah-rah, get everybody excited, and they're going to give information on ideas, how to fundraise, how to do this walk. So I hope people will join that. That'll be fun. We are going to get the word out on social media, emails. We send out a monthly newsletter, so surely it'll be in our October newsletter. And we have a team, the Oasis Purple Warriors. So we'd love people to join us, but we also encourage you to start your own team. Yeah, we got the purple going. And those are some of the ways we are promoting it. And just everywhere we go, we will be talking about it. And we are back out meeting with people a little bit in person, wearing our masks. So, and online, we're on Zoom calls, Becky and I both, all the time.
Well, that's great. I have a pair of purple pom-poms, so I might have to find those in the closet and join the pep rally with my purple pom-poms.
Perfect.
This is great. So you want to let people know about this. You want to get them involved. It's something to look forward to. It's not exactly the same because of social distancing, but I love the pep rally idea and doing it all together. That is great. Also, I want to talk a little bit before the end of our show about exactly what you do and how you do it, because besides being advisors, and giving people resource information and answering their questions, you actually physically help people move into communities. Is that right, Becky?
That's right. We work with seniors and families to help them find that right senior living option, whether it's independent living, assisted living, memory care. And we want to be their guide to help them navigate the options that are out there, so that they can really find the best fit for their loved one.
Great. And how, Candy, are you finding the change because of COVID-19, where you can't actually take somebody into, a building and tour them like in the old days? How are you helping families amidst all this pandemic?
We've been meeting with families on the phone and Zoom calls, and helping the salespeople to do virtual tours. So we'll get on the call, the Zoom call or FaceTime. We're all learning different types of technology, and but we join them just like we would in person, and we are there to be their advocate. And now, about a week and a half ago, some places did start letting us come in for tours. Sometimes they only allow you in the independent living parts of the community, but some are doing full tours. We've all gotten really creative, I can tell you that, and we still are very much in demand, and people need us. They need help with everything related to this. And we're part of a national company. Oasis is a franchise, so we can help people moving to other places. We can refer them to Oasis franchise owners in other states, other parts of Florida. So that's been a nice advantage for us as well.
Yeah, that's great. So you each have your separate contact information, and that if people wanted to contact you, or they wanted more information about something that they heard you say, couldn't they call you directly?
Yes, they can.
Absolutely.
Okay, so Candy, what's your contact number?
My number is 954-540-2595.
Okay, everybody say that again, Candy, 954-540-2595?
Correct.
Got it. And Becky, how can someone contact you?
My number is 303-981-2815.
Perfect. You can call Becky at 303-981-2815. Call either one, get some extra information, ask some questions, get some help. That's wonderful. So I don't want to end the show today without talking a little bit about the fact that it is National Centerian's Day. We had mentioned that earlier at the top of the show. Your mom's almost there, Candy. God bless her. And so people are living longer. And I was reading about this. This is the day we celebrate people that are at least 100 years old. And I think we're seeing more people reach that milestone. And some of the reasons, there are a lot of reasons why people are, but one of the reasons that I read was the fact that our genes really have a lot to do with it. And when someone tells you you have good genes, well, it depends on what gene you get, but there are genes that promote longevity up to, they say, 25 to 35% of certain genes can promote longevity in certain people. But there are other things that can help us live a longer life, and not just live longer, but with quality. So I want us to just throw out some things there for people to learn or to be aware of what people can do to live longer. And I'll start with the first one is, have your physical environment. Have a place where you can get fresh air, you can walk, you can exercise, you can move, where you can get outside and socialize. I think, that's really, really important, to add to our quality of life. If you guys want to throw in something there that you think people would appreciate, go right ahead.
Well, I think diet and exercise are key. And that's how I live my life. And luckily I grew up watching my parents live eating healthy diet and exercising. So it has become, it's ingrained in me, but that's what I really emphasize to people.
Like the Mediterranean diet, it's a good one. Eating your fruits and vegetables, right? What were you going to say,
Yes.
Becky?
I think also, the mental health aspect of things. We've seen stress, how that can take a toll on things, and how utilizing meditations. And I was on a Zoom webinar this morning about stress and things that we can do to relieve stress. That certainly has an impact on our health and our longevity.
Absolutely. And, a couple other things just, to add to our quality of life for anybody. And I don't think it's ever too late to start, but, people that are connected, not only in their social circle, but connected to good resources. So, for instance, having good medical care. You want to, get connected, like you said, you have a good relationship with the doctor. For your mom, Candy, and that's really important. So you want to do that. You want to manage those health issues. So if you do have a chronic health issue, you want to manage that. And just exercise your body, exercise your brain. So, we all do what we can when we can, and we'll hope for the best. But I just so much appreciate both of you being here today and sharing your wonderful stories and your expertise. So I want to thank you for being on the program today.
Thank you so
for
much
having
for
us.
having us.
All right, and thank you all for tuning in and listening, and email for your free 36-hour day book to Delray at arden-courts.com. We'll see you next Tuesday, 6 p.m., actually 6:04 p.m. Eastern Time for another wonderful program of Caregiver Solutions. And I hope to see you there in the next week. Just stay safe, stay healthy, and give each other a virtual hug. I know we can't do too many real ones, but we can give each other a virtual hug. So take care, everybody, and have a good evening. Bye-bye.
Thanks for joining us for this week's Caregiver Solutions with Marcia Teele. Join us next week as Marcia, who has 15 years of Alzheimer's disease and dementia care experience, brings you more needed information to help with the care of your loved one. This show can be seen again on caregiversolutions.info, and questions can be left on the site, which may be used on the program to help others. See you next week for more Caregiver Solutions.